In this video, we're going to import a module from the AUTOMATONISM system into the 3dPdModular system. More specifically, we're going to import the sign bank module, and we're going to implement this with a generic for SL module. SL stands for switch and LED, meaning that this module has switches and LEDs along with the potentiometers and the inputs and outputs. It's fairly easy to do that. What we need to do is we need to change the inlets, the inlet tilde and the outlet tilde objects with the module inlet and module outlet abstractions of the 3dPdModular system. So inside the main patch of 3dPdModular, we have the modules subpatch, and inside there we've got the generic for SL module abstraction along with all the other module abstractions we have. So if I open that, I get an interface to the actual synthesizer. I have the module inlets to receive signals from the physical inlets here. I have the module outlets to send signals to the physical outlets of the module. I've got the pot abstractions, either tilde in the signal domain or without the tilde in the control domain to receive values from the potentiometers. I've got the switch abstractions to get the values from the switches, and the LED abstractions to control the LEDs. What we need to do is take almost everything we see here and copy it. So I'm going to just copy all this stuff except from all the saving. Actually, I'm going to choose again because I chose way too many, and I'm gonna take this one as well. So I'm gonna copy everything instead except from the inlets. I'm just gonna copy that, and I'm gonna go into the generic module. I'm going to create a subpatch. I'm gonna say pd sign bank, and inside there I'm going to paste everything I copied from the AUTOMATONISM module. Here we have one extra outlet, which is a sum of the 4 sine waves, but in the physical module we only have 4 outlets, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to I should have copied the inlets as well. I'm gonna put them manually here. So what we're gonna do to replace these sliders is we're gonna take the values from the potentiometers of the module. Now these sliders, if we right click and click on properties, we'll see that we go from 0 to 127. So we have to follow that in order to maintain the functionality of the module. So I'm gonna go back to the generic module. I'm going to the control domain abstraction, the pot abstraction, and I'm going to multiply that by 127, because in the 3dPdModular system the potentiometers give values from 0 to 1, so you can easily scale it to any range you want. And if I click again to properties, I see that it's sending to $0 sign bank this name. So I'm gonna copy that name, and I'm gonna go here and I'm going to create a send object, and I'm going to copy the name, and I'm going to do the same for the other 4 potentiometers. Of course, I'm going to change the number, and I'm going to copy all 4 of those. Alright, I'm going to change the numbers. This is 3 and this is 4. And then I'm going to go to the switches, actually the toggles we see here. And in the properties I have this name, so I'm going to copy that. and I'm gonna go to the switch abstractions, and I'm going to create a send object and use that name. So I don't really care what's happening inside here. What I'm actually doing is I'm importing the user interface of the AUTOMATONISM module into the 3dPd module, and it's just that. It's pretty simple. I just need to change the name from 1 to 2, and then copy these two. The rest of the functionality is happening in the PD sign bank subpatch, which is here, and I shouldn't care too much about what's happening there. Johan, the AUTOMATONISM maker, has taken care of that. So I'm gonna, now we have the inlets here on the top part of this subpatch, and we want to receive signals that we're going to be connecting to our module. So I'm taking the outlets of the module inlet abstraction and I'm connecting them to our subpatch, and I'm taking the outlets of the subpatch and I'm connecting them to the module outlet abstraction. So whatever comes out can go to the rest of the system. Okay, one last thing is that in the PD user interface, when you click on a toggle, you see this little cross, so you know that the toggle is clicked. Here we have this physical switch. Okay, we know that if it's in the upper position, it's on, and if it's in the lower, it's off. But it's also good to visualize it with LED. So I'm going to actually take, well, this value, the value of the switch, and I'm going to connect it straight to the corresponding LED abstraction. So now if I turn the first LED, the first switch to the on position, the LED will go on, and then the LED will go off. So this is very helpful to know what's going on. So in the case of this module, when the LED is on, the corresponding oscillator is an LFO, and when the LED is off, then the corresponding oscillator is not an LFO. I'm just going to align these. Sorry, I'm just a bit too tidy with my patches. Okay, now if I take the output of the first oscillator and I connect it to the main module and turn up the volume, I should probably hear that. And if I turn on the LED, the switch, it becomes an LFO. One last thing that this module has is the sum of the outputs in a fifth outlet, and we don't physically have that, so we can do a trick for that. We have the sum here, so we can actually use a send or throw object, and I'm going to write sum, and inside here I'm going to catch that. Always use the $0 in your module abstractions in order not to get any conflict with any other name. And then I'm going to use a multiplier there, and I'm going to connect that to the first outlet. This means that I'm going to disconnect the first sine wave because it is going to the first outlet anyway. And what I can do is check if I have any other oscillators connected to anything else, in case I have only the first outlet connected to something, then this means that I want the sum of all 4 oscillators to sound. And I can do this with the outlet state abstractions, which give me the connecting state of any given outlet, and the argument is the number of the outlet. This abstraction gives a 1 when the outlet is connected, no matter how many inlets it's connected to, and a 0 when this outlet is not connected to anything. I'm going to turn the 1 and 0 to 1 and minus 1, and in order to do this, I'm going to I'm going to multiply it by 2, and then I'm going to subtract 1. So now a 1 is 1 and a 0 is a minus 1, and then I'm going to send this to the accumulate abstraction. And actually I'm going to do this for all 3 abstractions. I don't care about the first outlet because it's the outlet I'm going to be receiving the sum of these values. Now in order to check this, if I take something on the third outlet and connect it to anything else, and this becomes a 1. If I connect the fourth outlet to anything else, doesn't matter, becomes a 2. If I disconnect this one, it becomes a 1 again. If I disconnect the first one I connected, it becomes a 0, which means that if we get a 0, we want the sum of the oscillators to come out the first outlet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the output of accumulate to a double equal sign 0, which means that when this is a 0, when we get a 0 value, this object will output a 1. So to visualize this, I'm going to connect something again, and it's still a 0, and if I disconnect it, it becomes a 1. And I'm going to control the amplitude of the catch object. So now what's going to happen is that I'm going to hear all 4 oscillators. I can turn them to a low, to an LFO or a high frequency oscillator, and as soon as I connect something else, then I hear only the first oscillator. As soon as I disconnect this one, then we're back to this polyphony. And this is more or less it. It's pretty straightforward to use the generic module abstractions. As a side note, the pots tilde objects are not needed here, so I'm just going to remove them. I have also the inlet state objects, which are also not needed, but they can just be there. You should have noticed that while I was talking about the outlet state object, I deleted the argument and I placed it back in, which means that a new abstraction was created. If you want to keep on working while your setup is on, don't do this. Just don't recreate the object, because now you'll see that this abstraction is not receiving any information about the connections of the second outlet. Nothing happens because these abstractions need to get some information when the patch is launched. So just keep all these abstractions intact when you work with a generic series, and you can just put things in there, experiments, and it should be pretty straightforward. This is the reason why I also didn't include the module inlet abstractions inside the sign bank sub patch, and the same goes for the module outlet abstractions. It's best if you keep these abstractions to the parent canvas of the module abstraction. The same applies to the port abstractions, the switch, and the LED. You should not recreate them if you want to keep on working, otherwise you should restart the whole system. Other than that, the rest of the stuff, apart from the comments, which you're welcome to remove, they should be there. You should not change anything, otherwise the module and the whole system probably will not work properly. Now, one last thing is that the sign bank, the AUTOMATONISM system has a system of its own to save the states. Well, we don't really need that in 3dPd because it's hardware, so wherever you leave your potentiometers and your switches, that's gonna be your saving states. And you also get the mobile app of the synthesizer, which you can use to save your patch. So there's no need to save any states in a similar way as with the AUTOMATONISM system.
Once you're done, make sure to save your file. In this example, it's saved as signbank_module_tilde.pd. The underscore module tilde extension is necessary in the 3dPd modular system. Make sure you don't overwrite the generic 4SL file, because this is the template for the generic module. The saving directory is the one you see on your screen: home pi documents, pd 3dPd modular, pd patches modules. Once you save it, go 2 parent directories up and then to the scripts directory and edit the module index table.py Python file. On the top of that Python file, you see 4 comments which have the 4 names of the generic modules and their unique identification numbers. They're there because you can refer to them when you want to switch back to the generic patch if you want to build a new module from scratch. So what we're going to do is change the line of the generic 4SL module, which has the identification number 253. So we go down to 253 and change the generic 4SL to sign bank and leave the underscore module tilde extension intact. Once you save it, the synthesizer will be able to detect your new patch on boot by itself.